So one of the exciting things about data communications right now is we're seeing this explosion of information. So we're collecting more information than we have. And we have more processing power, so we can process that information in ways that we've never been able to do before. And we're bringing machine learning to bear on it. So all of those systems and all of that software and hardware is getting better. But there is one piece of software and hardware that pretty much hasn't improved in the last 10,000 years. And that's our own brains. And so our ability to understand information isn't any better than it's been for most of the modern evolutionary period. And so we need to really think about, and we're just starting to grapple with these problems of what does it mean as machines take over more and more of what we used to call thinking, and the ability of machines to do that thinking gets more and more powerful, really dramatically so, but our ability to understand the decisions that those machines are making, that ability stays the same. And so you have to think about, how are we going to explain to ourselves the decisions that our algorithms are telling us to make in a way that we can use that information and explain it to others? And I think that's the really interesting challenge of the next decade, and one that we're going to get to do a lot of work on here at MIT that's really exciting to me. It's easy to get really scared about the fact that machines are advancing really rapidly, and the evidence seems pretty compelling to me that we're going to see some pretty systemic changes in our economy, but those are going to happen. And being able to catch up and have the skills in the modern economy, I think, is going to be a lot about interpreting and understanding and doing that communication between people that's still really important for decision making, that the machines just can't replace. One of the things I learned as an entrepreneur at Testive is that there's just a portion of the interaction that even really good machines can't replace. If you know that it's a machine, you interact with it differently than you do with a human. And so there are some jobs that will stay inherently human, and I think those jobs are going to have a lot to do with how we communicate to other humans. One of the things that we saw at Testive once, and it's a bit of a grim story, though it has a happy ending, was we, for a while, had automated messages. Automated messages that would come from a coach that looked like they were coming from a human, but were actually auto-generated by a computer. And there was one time where this young woman, her mother was in the hospital and sick. And she sent a message to her coach saying, my mother's in the hospital, you're not going to hear from me for a couple of days. And her mother died. And the next day, our system sent an automated message to her that appeared to come from a person saying, "Saw you missed your study appointment last night. Is everything okay?" And thankfully, she texted her coach immediately apologized. But after that day, we never sent out a message that claimed to come from a human without it either coming from a human or at least a human checking it. Because what we learned from that was, as soon as you know that it's a machine, trust is broken. And there's just a trust that we have in other people that we don't have in machines.